There we go. Now we're recording. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to sharing. Okay, so a lot of what he did was nothing too crazy. It was mostly like adding the extra security layers, right? That was most different than what we've normally done. Let's get through some of the stuff that we are familiar with. All right, so we're gonna start with our models. Get those out of the way. Yeah, I am just starting from scratch. I'm just gonna go straight into the end code, right? Not like stop at like what it was looking like at part one. I'm just going straight to the end, the final product here. So let's see. So we need let me make sure I npmi'd first here. There we go. All right, I did not. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna need mongoose. We are going to need bcrypt for our hashing. Crypt.js. And then we're going to need JOTs, of course. Okay, so first things first, we're going to just make our user schema. Let's do capital U, cap user schema, equal to a new mongoose schema, where we've got a couple of things. We've got a name. It's going to be type of string, of course. It is going to be one of the few things that's required. If they fail to provide us a name, let's just say, please provide a name. Max length, just because he had it in there. Probably he has 50 characters. I doubt anyone's going to make their name that long, but you never know. That just did 3. They hit a min length of 3 just in case. So if your name is like Al or something, I guess it's too bad. Then we need their email. So once again, type of string, nothing crazy here. String, it's also required. Whoops, I just realized here it says required. Here we go. Required is going to be true. And same thing, we need a little message in case it isn't there. Please provide an email. What else? Oh, right. So then we need to go to the README because there's no way I'm doing that. No way. Let's grab this. Go back in here. All right. So it is going to be this. And yeah, so if that is not there, then let's just say, let's do it on a new line so we can see it more easily. Please provide a valid email. If they just didn't provide an email at all, they'll hit this one. And if they don't provide a valid email, then it'll hit this one. And we want them to be unique. We don't want multiple accounts on the same email. That's pretty common. Oh, did I close I didn't, whoopsies, this is supposed to be outside of here. There we go. And then last but not least, of course, obviously, when registering or logging in, we're going to need a password. Type, you can probably guess, string. Required, of course, it's required. Let's say, please provide a password. We've got a minimum length just for some extra security measure of 6. All right, min length of 6. And that's at least that part. So this is just defining our schema. But of course, we want to have some other stuff going on here for authentication purposes. We are going to user schema.pre. So like before its actual like creation, we're going to create a jot before it's saved. we want to make an async function where this is where we're going to salt and hash. So we're going to get our salt, going to await bcrypt salting it, bcrypt crypt dot salt, gin salt, actually, it's gin salt. It's a 10 there. I forget what that does, but he set it to 10. And we need to use this here, this keyword. Bcrypt dot hash this hash this dot password. Right, maybe if you haven't done as much object-oriented programming, this would be a little bit confusing. But by this, they mean like this specific instance of a model, right? Because you don't want it to be maybe to leak into other instances of the model. So we're using this dot password. So we know for certain that when we're creating a new instance of the user schema, we're grabbing this user schema's password and hashing it. All right, and then the part that gave me some trouble, we get our user schema dot methods dot create jot and make it a function, simple function, where this is where we're doing our jot signing. So we're going to return a jot dot sign. And how we're going to do it is we're going to use the user ID, of course. It's an easy, unique identifier. This instance's underscore ID, which Mongoose provides, their name, which is going to be this dot name, same thing. We're going to pass in our secret, process.env jot underscore secret, and then let it expire in a proper amount of time. Expires in process whatever is enumerated in your process.env jot underscore lifetime. I have it set to 30 days, just like John did, but you can set it to whatever you'd like. And then finally, the password comparison. So user schema dot methods dot compare password. Oh, password. There we go. There we go. Pull up the chat in case anyone's chatting. Compare password. That's going to be a new function, an async function, because we're going to be taking a second to compare. Our candidate's password is going to be a parameter we pass in. Const is match. We're going to check for if they're matching. Let's await our bcrypt comparison between the candidate password that we are feeding in and this instance's password. So if these are do a match, his match is going to be equal to true. And if they do not match, it's going to be equal to false. And then we can just return that value. Return, oh my gosh, I can't spell return. Return is match. That's it. And then we just export all of this. Module.exports equals mongoose.model. It's going to call it obviously user with a capital U, and we're going to link it to our user schema that we just made. Okay. Yep, once again, nothing too crazy. Right, like this except for the regex, of course, pretty straightforward. Nothing we haven't really seen, just creating our properties, setting their types, they're all strings. We are using this new thing, right, like before it's saved. Make sure to salt the password, that is. We're doing a new method of signing our jot where we're creating its own function to do that, and also password comparison. But other than that, nothing too crazy. Okay, then let's get over to jobs. So really similar thing. This one's going to be even easier because it's not going to be as crazy. This is just straight up just the jobs that our people have. So let's just get this done. Mongoose. What else do we need? Hang on, so let's make sure. Okay. Just checking participants. All right, so our job schema. We're just going to call it job schema. Equals new mongoose dot schema. All right, so he wants company, position, status, and created by. So company, it's going to be, of course, oh my gosh, go away. It's going to be a string, of course. Oh, big surprise there. Is it required? Of course it's required. It's like the main thing. True. Please provide company name if they forget to provide it. Again, just to keep from, I don't know, malicious actors filling up our database with huge names, I guess, maybe keep a max length of 50. And then the other only one that's required are position. So type of string. Is it required? Yes, it is. Please provide a job position. This one's even longer. John allows up to 100 characters for some reason. All right, so status. That's also a string. And there's only a couple values that we enumerate that are acceptable. So we use enum, enumerate, our possible acceptable answers. And we have interview, declined, pending. And by default, just in case they don't actually fill that out, it is going to be pending by default. Oh, it'd be nice if it was interview by default, but that's just not the way it goes. All right, and then finally the created by. Whoops. So this one is actually going to be a reference to a user, right? So it's actually going to be a mongoose.types.object_id, and it's going to be in reference to an instance of a user model, right? So its type is going to be the object ID that is created when each instance of our user is created. We can look in the MongoDB Atlas to check that out. We'll do that after we create some stuff. And then, is it required? Yes, that is required. So we know who's making what. Please provide a user. Although that should just happen by default. There's no way that this would even probably ever proc, because it's going to be created as long as you have a user, right? And you're going to have to need it to be a user because you need to log in. And then just to be safe, we need times. Oh, wait, no, that's not part of this. It goes here actually. Timestamps. Oh, this is all supposed to be, this is our options object, so it needs to be all in curly braces. Whoa. Timestamps is going to be equal to true. Here we go. Nothing crazy. Once again, exports equals mongoose.model. Of course, we're going to call it job. It's going to reference our job schema that we just made. All right, there we go. Model's done. A lot of the more simple stuff, but anything crazy that anyone struggled with either of these? Maybe the user model. I know that one was kind of difficult. A lot of stuff going on here. Okay, well, we'll go back over it at the end. So next, let's get our middleware out of the way. Let's get our authentication out of the way. All right, now that we've made because we needed our user for this to work, right? So we need to bring in our user so that we can authenticate them. Probably got to hop out one, right? To, where's this living? It's in models /user. Here we go. We need JOTs. JSON web token. And finally, we need the unauthenticated error from our errors. I'm pretty sure all these are already filled out. So I didn't demonstrate that, but I'm pretty sure it just exists already. Unauthenticated error equals require from our errors. There we go. Okay, and that should be right in here, right? This if we go into our errors and unauthenticated, yeah, we're exporting this unauthenticated error here. That's what it is. Now that we've got that, let's make our auth function. Auth equals async. We need our rec, we need our res, and we need next, not resize by res and next. Arrow function. So he actually did a little bit of documentation here. Let's keep with that trend of making sure we're documenting stuff. So this is going to check the header, or a bearer token is living. Headers dot there is a queue authorization. I'm so good at spelling. I actually promise that's not even me being sarcastic. I am good at spelling. I'm surprised I misspell stuff so much. All right, so if there's no auth header at all, or it's not the case that the auth header starts with bearer, and we want to run some code, because I talked about this 2 weeks ago. But this is a pretty nice and easy common check, because if you properly authenticated, there's going to be an auth header. It's going to store the authorization inside of the auth header. That's just where it's always going to live. And also, pretty much always when you properly authenticate, you're going to be given what's called a bearer token. So if you did things properly, then 100% of the time, the auth header, the token that you're given, is going to start with the word bearer 100% of the time. So this is checking to see that A, did you properly authenticate? And this is more checking maybe someone is some kind of malicious hacker is trying to hack into our system, and maybe they forgot to start it with bearer, right? Because this would be like there is an auth header, but it doesn't start with bearer. So it's either incorrectly formatted somehow. You did something wrong where you did properly authenticate and put something in the auth header, but you did it incorrectly and it doesn't start with bearer, or you're a malicious actor and you accidentally didn't start your token with bearer. So if either of those things are the case, let's throw a new unauthenticated error. And it's just going to say straight up authentication invalid. And also, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, last time we were doing this, all this kind of, it might frustrate you sometimes, out there in the real world, when it says very vague things like authentication failed. Like, was it my password? Was it my email? Was it my username? I don't know which part I failed to authenticate, which part I did wrong. That's on purpose, because while it might be inconvenient for you, it's even more inconvenient for hackers. So they don't know if they maybe if they stole some of your data somewhere, they don't know which part they got right and they don't know which part they got wrong if it just says something vague like this. So that's very much on purpose. And then let's just grab our token, which is living in our auth header. We're going to take it. We're going to split by an empty space. There's an empty space here at index 1. Now that we've got all this, we're going to, this is pretty much just a check to make sure that everything's looking fine. And now we will decrypt this JSON web token. So we're going to take our payload. That's going to be equal to jot.verify. We need a couple of things for verification. We need our token, which we've just made here. And we need our jot secret living in our .env. Kind of like multi-factor authentication, when you have to go on your phone and put in a code or something. That's basically what this is. You need both the token and the jot secret. Another random bit of documentation here, but I like it. Attach the user to the job routes is what he says this part does. So the rec.user, what does it do? It takes our user ID, which is the payload's user ID. Let's lowercase user ID. And it's going to grab the name, also from the payload. And then we're just going to go next. to the next piece of middleware. And if that doesn't work, let's catch those errors. We're just going to throw them a new, once again, just like up here. If anything goes wrong, doesn't matter what it is, we're just going to throw a new, very generic, unauthenticated error that said authentication invalid. Authentication valid. All right. So this is pretty much the exact same as how it worked in the Jot basics. This is pretty much the exact same thing. So hopefully nothing too new here. All right. We pretty much mostly just got our controllers and our routes left. So once again, just like here, let's just go ahead and get auth out of the way in our controllers. You're gonna probably close these, at least for now. Clear up that space. All right, so we're gonna need a couple things. Once again, we're gonna need our user for authentication purposes. Require // we're gonna go into our models and go into user. Got it. We need status codes from our HTTP status codes. Use object destructuring syntax for that. Status codes equal to require, what's it called? HTTP dash status codes. There it is. And then from our errors, we're going to need some errors here. We're going to need, of course, unauthenticated. We're also going to need bad request. So bad request error and our unauthenticated error. It's going to require from our errors. So // out into errors. There it is. Cool, great. So here in auth, we have two ones, right? We have registering a new user and then logging in as the user that we created. A little bit more complex than last time where you can just kind of put stuff in and you're good. This time you need to create an account and then log in. So first we need to register. Register. It's going to, of course, be asynchronous. We need our request, our response. Oops, let's get a space there. All right, so we need a couple things here. First, we need to create a user, const user. It's going to be equal to awaiting our user.create using whatever we provide in the rec.body. Once again, I've gone over this a couple times. Hopefully this is also nothing new, but this is the spread operator, right? It works for objects and arrays. It just takes whatever is an object or an array, and it just puts it inside of a new object or array. The one thing to note about this, it's not an issue in here, but in case you ever end up, if you maybe do this in a project, for example, your final project perhaps, where you're using the spread operator, the one thing, because I've been doing more research on it for a job interview I have next week, but something that I was reminded of that maybe I'll share with you as a little bit of wisdom is that spread operators, while useful, very useful here, they do what's called a shallow copy. So especially with objects, it won't do like embedded objects. And what I mean by that is like, say that there's a object inside of an object, right? There's like, for example, you have like a person object, right? And then inside of that, you maybe have like friends, right? A friends property, and that's an object of all your friends. If you use the spread operator to just spread like this person object, the contents of your friends object is not going to carry over, right? It's what's called a shallow copy. It's easy to do because then you just when you spread the object, you can just then go in and like say, hey, here's the friends property, and then you spread that as well, like person.friends. But just a little bit of more info on the spread operator, what it's doing, how it works. But now we need to grab our token, and that's coming from our user, right? We created that in our user. So user dot create jot. Yep. So if that's all properly working, then let's go ahead and res.status, the status codes dot created. It's in all caps here. JSONify that and let them know about the new user. And inside of that, got a name, user.name, and the token, which is going to be super important because this token is going to appear on the screen. And this is what I'm going to copy and paste to put in my bearer, right? So that I can properly authenticate. This is going to be my bearer token here. So that's all we need here. Then it's just logging in. Once login equals async, rec and res. Okay, so we are going to need at least two things for logging in. We need the email and the password. Those are required. Just like pretty much logging in anywhere, right? Destructure those out from the rec.body. Explaining it again, just because hopefully I explained this so much that it becomes obvious. That's the sort of goal with all this stuff, is that it becomes so obvious that what I'm talking about that it's boring. It's just how much of an expert you are at it. But remember, we're doing more object destructuring syntax here, which means that the rec.body hopefully has a property inside of it called email and a property inside of it called password. And when we do this syntax where we make the curly braces and we do a const and then it equals a currently existing object, it takes the properties with that same name. Hopefully it has to be the exact same as email and password, and it creates new variables with those exact same names and values. So we took the email property inside of rec.body and created a new variable also called email with the same value. Same thing with password. If password is a property that already exists inside of rec.body, we're making a new one. Same thing though, same value, same name. So we're just grabbing those and then we're just checking to make sure we've got everything. If we don't have an email or pipe operator, if we don't have a password, we're going to throw them an error, of course. Throw new, this is where we go bad request, new bad request error. Please provide email and password. So just right off the bat, we need both of these. These are required. So if we don't have either of them, that's a bad request. Let's take our user, if we've got one, search our database for it. So we're going to await a search on the database for user.find1 by their email. This is why we require that you cannot have duplicate emails, because this is how we're finding our user, is by their email. So you can only have one. If that didn't work, right? If we don't have a user, which pretty much means that we can't find something with that email, we're going to throw a new unauthenticated error. And what are we going to tell them? We're going to say invalid credentials. We could be more specific, but we're not going to, in order to not help any malicious actors who would be trying to hack into our very important jobs API website. So we're going to check if our password is correct. It's going to be this quick little is password correct function. We're going to await our user.compare password. And remember, this compare password, just like this create jot, I'm going to switch over here real quick. Remember that this is these, right? We created them here, user schema.methods. We created these two functions here. And that's so that's where we're grabbing them and using them over here, right? Right, so we made this function create jot. Here it is right here. Same thing. And same here, we have a compare password function. We're using it here. Remember that it takes a candidate password as the parameter to compare with the password of whatever user is currently logged in. So let's call it password for now. So if it's not the case that is password correct, right? If we ran compare password and it didn't work, right? So we took this password and it didn't match the user's password. If that is what happened, then we're going to, of course, throw a new unauthenticated error saying invalid credentials. Something's upset with me, and it's not just my bird. Await user.compare password. If not is pass. Oh, I have a space here. No, that's not it. Hang on. It's before this. Oh, I have some extra curly braces for some reason. Okay. So this is just a check by itself, right? This is either going to be true or false. So if it's false, right? If not is password correct, that just means this is, remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about the concept of truthy and falsy stuff, right? Every single value in JavaScript is either truthy or falsy, even if it's not the Boolean, property of true or false. Every single thing, every string, every number, all is truthy or falsy, right? Pretty much the falsy things are just stuff you'd expect, like bad values like undefined and null are falsy. The number 0 is falsy. Empty strings and arrays are falsy. And this would probably either be false or empty or undefined or null. It would be something not good, right? It would be something we don't want. So if it's false, well, it's almost saying if it's true that this is false, right? If it's just some kind of bad value, let's throw a new unauthenticated error. Let's say invalid credentials. It's so funny that he gets so upset because I have been talking for like 4 hours before hopping on this call, and he barely gets upset. And then he knows I'm teaching. He knows. All right. A little bit more documentation here. So then we compare the password, which is kind of weird because that's what we're doing up here. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this. This is confusing. I'm not sure why this is in the code. So then we take our token. It's going to equal user.create jot. Same thing as in registering. Create jot, invoke it. Then res.status. Status codes dot okay. Everything is okay. All right, so what are we going to display to them? We're going to display our user. Going to be their name, just their name actually. User.name. And then we're going to display the token. And that's it. We've got to export them. Got to remember to do that. That is, I feel like the error I make most in this class. Register, login. There we go. Once again, nothing too crazy. Let's go over it again. So we're registering. So here's where we're actually doing a creation of a new user in our database. When that runs, we also use the create. We create and sign our jot. And then we just let them know, hey, everything was fine. A user was created, and show them their newly created user with the token. Very important there. So then when we go and log in, we just do a basic check, right? And this is what happens, you can imagine, on any website, right? They check your email, they check your password. Do you have them in the first place? That's important. If yes, let's move on. All right, well, let's try and find you, see if there's an email in the system with that name that you typed in. If there's not, then you did something wrong. If the password's wrong, you also did something wrong. If you did successfully, if you got past this one, it means you have an email and a password. If you got past this one, it means you do have an email in the system. And if you got past this one, it means both you have an email, it's correct. You have a password, it's correct. Once all that's fine, let's create that jot and show them, hey, you've logged in. All right. And then we've got jobs. So this one's going to be a little bit more meaty, but it's also going to be really simple, right? Nothing we haven't seen before, just CRUD operations on our jobs, right? We want to be able to create, read, update, and delete on our jobs. So let's go ahead and get that done. Really simple, really simple. Require, got out to our models, go to job. We got that. We are going to we need status codes, yeah. Const use object destructuring status codes. We need that from the package, which is called http-status.code-codes. And then we need more errors. Unauthenticated is not something we need here. We are going to need a bad request. Still, bad request error. And we're going to need our not found error in case we're trying to find a job and it's going to be not found. Let's go out into our errors. Cool, great. So, I know it's always like CRUD, so you'd think that creation would always go first, but I think most of the time people do reading first. So I'm just going to stick with that general methodology. So let's get all jobs. That's the most basic. It's just getting all jobs because it's just the most simple, right? So const get all jobs async rec and res, something we've seen a lot of times by now. And again, nothing too crazy. Something that we've all seen. We're going to need to what? We're going to need to grab our job model, look in the database for it with a dot find. So that's what we're going to do. Const jobs equals await capital J job. That's our model. Dot find in the database. How are we going to find them? A lot of times we would just put in nothing, right? And it would just show by everything. But since we're logging in now, we just want to see our jobs. So we're going to find any job that was created by a property in our job model, rec.user.user ID. Right, when you log in, your general user information is stored in the user area of the request body. And within that is, of course, our user ID. And then we're going to want to sort all of this chronologically. Fortunately, we have a nice, convenient created at property for that. So just a little bit more complex and something we've done multiple times by now, right? We did it back in Jot Basics. We did it in the Store API. We're just grabbing everything, except just this time we're grabbing everything that was made by our user. So then we just res.status means everything's okay if we get to this point. So status codes.okay, it's all caps, okay. .json, and what are we going to show them when we .json? Let's show our jobs and show a count of jobs. Just jobs.link. How many jobs we got? That's it. Moving on. Now just one job, so we need the ID of that specific job, right? Const get job. Async rec res arrow function const. We are going to need a user. Let's have an initializer. What? I'll give you a sec. It just goes that way in a sec when I fix this. User ID, and then we need params. It's going to be the ID of the job ID, and set this equal to request. All right, so this is object destructuring syntax again. Okay, so now that we have this, let's create a new job. And we're going to await a finding of. Find one. And we're going to look with its ID, its underscore ID. Which underscore ID is equal to the job's ID. This one, right? This one here. And then we also want to look for its created by. Sure, that's the same too. That's going to be the user ID. Right? All this stuff is stored somewhere or another in the request body. And so we can grab all that stuff if we know where to look and just punch it right in here as things we're going to use to search for a job. All right, let's do a little bit of checking here like he does. If we don't get a job, right, that means that probably one of these is wrong. Let's throw a new not found error. will be a little bit more helpful this time since we're already logged in. No job with ID of whatever the job ID is. So now we can be a little bit more helpful because at this point they're already logged in. They're probably not a malicious actor, which means that if they mess up, we can tell them, hey, this job ID was wrong. Your user ID is probably right, right? Because you're logged in. So your user ID is working, obviously. So the problem lies with the job ID. If everything went fine, though, of course, what are we doing? Res.status, status codes dot okay. Everything's okay. Dot JSON. And this time, let's just give them the job. That's it. Just the job information. So if that's getting jobs. So let's create a job. So const create job. It's that easy. I should work as an economist. It's just const create job. It's that easy. Need a new job? It's const create job. All right, so let's grab the created by rec.body.created by is going to be equal to our user ID. It's user ID. Why did I do that? User ID. So const job. We're going to create a job now, right? So it's just simple, same thing, right? Await job dot create using whatever is in the rec.body, which is the created by. Because that part just gets done automatically, right? Everything else is going to be put in by us, right? We're gonna when we make our postman request, we're gonna say, hey, here's the company, here's the position, but you don't want to always be like, hey, this was made by me. That kind of thing you would want to be done automatically, right? Like when you make a post on Facebook, you don't want to have to manually say, hey, I made this post, right? It should know that you made the post because you're logged in. So we're just making sure that that happens automatically. We don't have to do anything. So whenever we just create a job, it's going to automatically say, hey, that job was created by the person who's logged in. Then just res.status. Res.status, guess what it's going to be? It's going to be the status code of created. And let's just job JSON. Just once again, similar to getting that job, let's just show the job now that it's been created. So we've got create, we've got read. So you know what's left. Update and delete. So updating a job is going to be a little bit more intense this time. So, whoops, const update job. It's so funny. After all these years, I don't know why, but the actual thing that I am worst at in all of JavaScript is declaring functions. I don't know why I do this for so many years, and I cannot remember how to declare a function. I swear to you, every time I do this and I write this, I just hope I'm doing it correctly, and I just happen to do it correctly. If you ask me to tell you how to declare a function, I could not tell you. I just do it and hope it works, and then I see some errors if I do it wrong. I don't know why. I cannot remember how, like off the top of my head, how to declare a function. I don't know. It's so simple. I just forget every time. It's so weird. Yeah, there are a lot of different ways. That's true. There are several different ways. I think I can usually remember the one where you actually say like, like const my function equals function. But like sort of like arrow functions like this, I like those better, and those are the ones I actually forget how to do. Gotta stay hydrated. All right. So what are we doing? We're using object destructuring syntax. I like the way he does this. This is cool. So we're using object destructuring syntax. I'm going to set this equal to equals rec, so it's not as upset with me. So what are we grabbing out of our request? Grabbing the request body. Specifically, we're grabbing the company and the position. We're grabbing from the rec.user. We are grabbing the user's ID, right? Because that's how we identify. This is equal to the created by property of any job, right? Is created by a user, and that's their ID. And then from the request.parameters, we need the ID of the job we're updating, right? And that's just going to be ID, which is going to be set to the job ID. Or object destructuring syntax. Very cool, very modern, very useful. All right, so we got to do our checks, of course. So if he does if company is strictly equal to an empty string, which I'm not really sure why he does that over just if you like not company, for example. Let's do it his way. Then maybe we can go back and see if not company. Whoa. He just fell. You're a bird. How do you fall? You have wings. Sorry. Anyway, if company is equal to an empty string, or, whoops, or the position is equal to an empty string, right? Because those are required. Those two are the required ones. We're going to throw a new error, a bad request error. Company or position fields. Maybe I feel like there's a better way to phrase this. Missing company or position field. There we go. It's a little bit more concise, still vague. Does the job. So, if we got to this point, it means you properly have a company and a position. So let's take our job. Let's find the job we're talking about that we're describing here with all this other stuff. So await job dot find by ID and not delete, not remove, update. There it is. And what are we going to do with this? So we are going to take its underscore ID, right? The one provided by Mongoose. Job ID, the created by, which fortunately we already have up here. We have all the stuff already ready to go. That's why we did this in the first place. Is equal to user ID. Right, so we've got this. Hang on. Yeah, let's format it more like he does because it'll be a little bit easier to read. So we do it like this, right? And then we put this here, this down here. All right, so this is on its own line. And then we grab the rec.body. All right, this is where we're going to make some changes if we have any. Yeah, right, because we don't want to really be changing the job ID or the created by property, right? These happen automatically. So we don't want to be able to change these, right? So we're already saying, hey, the job ID, it's already equal to this. So the underscore ID rather is going to be equal to the job ID. We have this already. When we go to this page, we already know it's here, right? Because we had to put it in order to get to that page in the first place. Let's not change that. Let's not also change who it's created by, because that would just confuse people. The only things that we are going to change is what we're allowed to put in our rec.body, which is the name, the company, and the position. Actually, it's just company position, because the name and the company are the same thing. Is it going to be new? Yes, true. And then we've got to, of course, run our validators. So if something here failed, if job ends up being falsy, which means that something is wrong with it, it's coming back as null or undefined or anything else, that means we did something wrong. Can't tell you what it is. Well, actually, we can't tell you what it is, because at this point, it's probably fine. Throw new not found error. So use backtick so we can interpolate in the job ID to say no job. Same thing as up here when we're trying to get a job, right? No job found with that job ID. No job found with ID of job ID. There we go. Okay. So you messed up somewhere. Probably the job ID, right? Similar to this one, right? Where it really could only be the job ID because we're getting a job and your username is already going to be set in stone. So you probably did something wrong with inputting the job ID. Similarly here, we already checked to see if company and position were filled out, right? So if you got here, that means that you successfully put in the company in the position. And so that pretty much only means that the user ID and the job ID, once again, same thing. It's the only possible things that could have gone wrong are the user ID and the job ID. Your user ID also, once again, it's going to be the same. You couldn't have even gotten to that web page in the first place without a user ID. So the only thing left that could be the problem is the job ID. All right, and last one, deleting. So, wow, this has already taken like the entire time. I'm so sorry. I want to be a little bit more, holistic in my explaining of stuff, but I'm afraid I'm going a little bit too slow. Rec and res. So once again, I love this object destruction syntax. I don't usually see this very much, seeing it done this way. I like it. So let's take our request body and grab some stuff from inside of it. We're going to grab the rec.user. Of course, the user ID. Whoops, a P. Excuse. The user ID, right? And oh, I didn't do a equals rec there. Here we go. And then we also need the rec.params because we need the parameter, we need the ID, right, of the job we're deleting. So from our rec.params, we're just going to grab the job ID. So the ID, which is going to be job ID. Okay, so if this works, let's go ahead and delete. So const job equals await job dot find by ID and delete. Fill that out. It uses remove actually. Okay. I actually don't know the difference between delete and remove. I'm not gonna lie. Underscore ID, job ID, created by, user ID, this stuff again, remember. And so once again, same as before, right? So if we don't find that job, if it's falsy, that means that probably you messed up the job ID again. So throw new not found error. And what's it going to say? Same thing. No job found with ID of money bracket job ID. Job ID. But if you did it correctly, then let's throw a res.status. Why is that capital? Res.status. This is supposed to be capital. Status codes dot k dot send. Oh wait, I forgot to do that here too. Whoops. Res.status status codes dot ok dot json, and then we obviously here, since we just updated, we wanted to show our newly updated job, and this one's fine. Okay, and then make sure to export Gabe. Don't forget module dot exports is equal to big ol' object full of all of our stuff. Let's just do it in order. He does it in some weird order. He does create, delete, get all jobs, update job, get job. I don't know why it's in that order. What did we do? We did get all jobs. We did get job. We did create job, update job, and delete job. So those are all of the routes we made, or controllers we made, rather. Okay. Then we move on to auth. This stuff is pretty simple. We're just setting up our routes, right? So const express, need that express stuff. Fire express because we need express router. Express. Create our router. Router equals express dot router. Invoke that. We need our register and our login because this is the auth route, right? Not the jobs route. So those are the only two controllers we made. Object destruction syntax. We need register, register, and login. And where is that coming from? It's coming from our controllers, our auth controller. Oops, with the controllers / auth. There we go. That was weird. And then when we router.post to register / register, we want to use the register. And when we post to login, we want to hit login. That's it. Module.exports equals router. Really similar thing over in the job section. We need express for our router, of course. Const express equals require express. Just checking chat for more messages. Const router equals express dot router. Router. Invoke that. We need our controllers. Const. So we got quite a few here. What are they? Get all jobs. Get job. Create job. Update job. And delete job. All of these are going to be equal to requiring let's go to our controllers. Let's go to our job route. Cool. So router.route, we're doing handling multiple at once because a couple are going to be here at just the base. That's going to be where we create jobs and get all of our jobs. So if we are trying to post a new job, post create job, and if we're just trying to get, that's when we run get all jobs. And then a couple need the ID specifically, right? Whoops, whoa. Slash ID, right? And these are going to be, so we're going to need to get. This is for getting a specific job. So that's our get job controller. We're going to want to path patch. That's going to be update job. What update job? There we go. And then we're going to want to delete sometimes. And that is, of course, going to be delete job. Let's export all of this stuff. Module.exports. That's going to be equal to our router. Okay. Now we just plug all of this into our app.js and we are good to go. Okay. Bam. So a lot of stuff already exists in here already. So let's see what is missing. So we need all of our security packages, right? So extra security packages, right? So we bring in a couple here. So we need a helmet, which is for protecting our headers. Get it? That's why they call it helmet. It's very clever. All right. This is, I almost used many expletives all at once because I'm not a huge fan of cores because it can be a real pain sometimes when you are working with a front end only application. I could talk about cores and I could in a little bit if people are still hanging around and want to know about cores and why I hate it so much. I got distracted and didn't even declare const because I hate cores so much. Require XSS clean, which is for sanitization, which is just making things very regular and uniform so that we don't get a mess up because of like something being capitalized or not capitalized, right? That kind of thing. Then we have a rate limiter. Probably not necessary in this project, but good to know. Rate limit. Okay, so we have Swagger, which is for documentation purposes, which I think is nice. Swagger, so const Swagger UI is equal to require Swagger dash UI slash express. We need a YAML, which is gonna be from YAML.js. Oops, it's lowercase YAML.js. And then we get our Swagger document, which is literally Swagger document. It's going to be equal to, we're going to load a YAML. Which YAML are we loading? We are loading, going into swagger.yaml, which I did not make. So not that big of a deal right now. So let's see, we need our routes and our routers. We have error handling here. That all I think is fine. It's just those two, app.useexpress.json. Okay, extra packages go here. So Let's put all of our routers down here. So we are going to need our ConnectDB. Is that already here? No, okay. So ConnectDB equals require, should be here at DB, yep, /connect. Okay. We need to authenticate our users, call it authenticate user. That is going to be from our authentication middleware. So that's right here. Oops, it's going to be in actually middleware / authentication. So then we need our routers. These might actually need to go up here. Yeah, above the air handlers. Okay. And then routers. So we have two routers. We have auth router, which is going to be equal to wiring, and then we go into routes, and then auth. Same thing, const jobs router, I suppose. Require routes jobs. Okay, so let's see, we got this, we got this. We need to invoke all that other stuff. So we need to set app.set. We need to set up this trust proxy stuff. Rate limiter. Rate limiter. It's the settings for that. For Windows, MS, window, just regular window, MS like this. Set 15 by 60 by 1,000. Which is milliseconds. That equals 15 minutes. But the max is 100. This is limit each IP to 100 requests to 100 requests per window millisecond, which probably not going to happen if I had to guess. But you know, probably better safe than sorry on that. And then we use app.use all the other stuff we brought in up here. So we use helmet, app.use helmet. We app.use cores. Hate it. App.use XSS. Okay. All right. I'm not going to do some of this other stuff because it's not really necessary. What I am going to do is change this around a little bit. So start async app.listen. It's actually going to be, so here we're actually going to await connect DB, where we grab our Mongo URI from our process.env, Mongo URI. App.listen at the port. It's listening on port 3000 by default. Yep, cool, great. I think that is pretty much everything that we just started. Oh, that was a lot. That was a lot. That was like an hour of just slinging code. I'm just following along with notes. Okay, so thanks for sticking in there with me, everybody. Let's go ahead and get this done, yeah? So npm start. Whoops. Looks like something's upsetty spaghetti. Oh, it's because of the YAML stuff. I don't want to have to do that right now. I'm just gonna get rid of the YAML stuff for now because I don't feel like it. Where's the YAML stuff? Let's get rid of all this. It's not necessary for testing. Still upset. Moduke is not defined. That's why. In my jobs router, I misspelled something. It's Moduke. There we go. No problem. All good. Still an error. There it is. No problem. What is it? ASP. Okay. Yep. More misspellings. That's fine. What about now? New error. It is rate limiter. I'm just typing too quickly. What about now? Now everything's fine. I'm going to clear it and then run it again. Clear everything out here. It's nice and clear. All right, bam. Okay, so server's listening on port 3000. Now let's clear up all this stuff and head into Postman. So new HTTP request. So we should do everything, right? So let's register a new user. So that should be here at API v1 auth register. So the email and the name, email, and password are required. Let's go to the body, raw, JSON. So we're just going to set up some testing stuff here, right? So the name is just going to be, I don't know, I'm going to take the name John. Now my name is John Smilga. The email is just going to be test@test.com. And the password, password is going to be a secret, like he does. I like that. Okay, so I'm posting to register. Let's see what happens. Ooh, route does not exist. Localhost 3000 API v1 auth register. That should be it. I am posting. Yes, I am posting. Localhost 3000. Let's check something else. Let me check jobs. Let's get all our jobs. That route doesn't exist either. I must have misspelled something somewhere. Oh, of course, the route isn't there. So silly, so silly. App.use. So when we go to /API/v1/auth, of course, we should be using the auth router. Same thing here. We go to app.use /API/v1/jobs. We want both to authenticate our user, and we want the jobs router. So this is why I shouldn't rush, because I just end up making silly mistakes like this. Oh, and now we've got an error. And it is router.use requires a middleware function. We've got an object. And this is happening on this one. I probably misspelled something somewhere. Router.use requires a middleware. I just debugged this. What does this mean? It definitely means something's wrong. It means that, let's look in our route. Authenticate user, make sure I spelled this right. So let's find this somewhere else. So authenticate user equals require our authentication middleware. That seems fine. Jobs router, which I should have declared somewhere up here. Jobs router, route/jobs. Let's check that to make sure everything's looking fine here. I did export it, so that's good. Wait, why is this? What is this model? Is this messing it up? What is this? Why did I write this? I guess it's not hurting anything, but why did I put this in here? I don't think this is necessary. I don't think it's causing any problems either, but darn it. What did I do wrong? Stuff is something in here. Express, require express, router equals express.router, get all jobs. This looks all fine to me. Controllers/jobs. Dot post, create job, get all jobs. Get job, patch, update job, delete. All that seems just fine to me. He does have them in a different order, but I doubt that is causing a big issue. But I'm going to do it, change it around just in case. I don't think that would cause an issue, but let's try and get as close to what he did as possible and see if that changes something. Okay, that probably didn't fix it, right? Nope. Same error. Got an object. Why can't I remember what this is being caused by? Interesting. Hmm. There's something in my starting. Let's see. I am properly weighting all this stuff. No, that seems fine. Do I have them in the right order? I think so. Yeah, these are at the end, and then before that is these routes. API v1 auth and jobs, auth router, jobs router, that route. Let's see. Did I misspell something? Don't think so. Let's try this. Let's get rid of one of these and see if we can identify which is the problem. Because it could be authenticate user. It is authenticate user, you see that? So something's wrong with authenticate user. Let's go in here and check what the problem is. Because we can see here, so authenticate user is equal to our authentication middleware. So something's wrong in our authentication middleware, which is a little bit odd because I feel like this is pretty straightforward stuff. Let's go through everything again though. So I have my user, which is actually not being used. So maybe I probably am supposed to use that somewhere. Oh, I'm not exporting it, of course. Obviously, Gabe. Even though I said it, I still forgot. Said it so many times, but forgot the one time. Export. I guess I'll just call it auth. Module exports equals authenticate user. That's what I was calling it. Authenticate user. Nope. Authenticate user not defined. What does he call it? He just calls it auth. Okay. Okay. Great. Still gonna close the server and clear everything out so it's clear. Okay. Bam. Now we can do it probably. Let's go back. Post. Let's go into auth/register, right? Okay. Error. Hooray. It's an empty error, no less. Let's check. All right. Let's go here. We can go to MongoDB Cloud Atlas, and we can check to see if it's working. Because sometimes, because the weird thing is, especially about this setup, is that it will, because we have this some stuff happens like before saving, it can actually create it, but still put in the it can error out, but still put it in the database. Let's go in here to test. See users. So I made some test ones earlier, of course, you can see. So there it is, right? It still worked. It still worked, but it threw me some kind of error. But it didn't say what error it was, which is weird. Well, we did create it. I did text.com. I just noticed that. Okay, so let's see if we can actually still just log in with it. No, we can't because we don't have our bearer token. So we're getting a random error. It's not showing up in the server at all. Let's try a new one. See what happens. Set the name to be Gabe. Set our email to be just test@test.com 2. Then actually that'll probably show up on the regex test2@test.com. And then let's do a password of secret and see if we can replicate that same error. Same error again. Internal server error. Interesting. Something else is going wrong, but what? This is where it gets a little bit more difficult because we can't tell what the issue is. Can we log in though? Same empty error. What about we try to get our jobs? Authentication invalid. Okay, well, that's working. Something about our auth is not working. It might go back to the fact that our user isn't showing up here. Let's see. So user jot unauthenticated error. So we're going to check our header. This all seems fine. Throw a new unauthenticated error. We did get that error, so that was kind of nice. Make sure our token is right. It is split with an empty string, which it's supposed to be. Auth header, that's all spelled correctly as a try. So we get our payload. We jot.verify with the token and our process.env.jot secret. That's fine. Rec.user, take our user ID, go into the set it as the payload. And the name of our user is going to be the payload's name. And then we go next. We catch the error. All seems fine. Wondering where this empty object error is coming from. That would show up here. We don't have anything handling it, just is an empty error. It's kind of the weird part. And we're also not getting anything here. Let's kill the server and boot it up one more time. Maybe something changed. Auth/register. Okay. Okay, so this is a duplicate email error, which is weird because it should say that. You should have all these like custom errors already set up. So I'm not really sure why it's not telling me those. It's a little odd. But yeah, this is just because we already have this set in here. Yeah, we need this to work. Let's try this test 3, right? We're just back to the error, internal server error. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's already like 25 minutes over. Let's see. Yeah, the only way to really fix it at this point is to really comb through the code, and I don't want to take up more of y'all's time here. We could try and compare to the final and see what's the difference, but that would be a line by line, file by file kind of thing. I don't want everyone to sit here. It's not, I don't feel a very useful uses of anybody's time. Were there any questions? Even though it's something's the matter, I'm sure it's like literally a single line of code somewhere. But is there someone have something that they wanted to like talk about specifically that was an issue for people?
Hi, I just have a question regarding your YouTube channel. Because I didn't ask you before, but I checked your YouTube channel. I'm not sure it's the correct one, but I saw just 5 videos. I would like to like check all the videos that we have in our classes on the YouTube channel. So I
Oh
just
yeah,
wanted to check. Yeah.
yeah. I have it here. So this is me, and here's what I'll do. I'll just go to where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? View my channel. So I have a playlist actually that I made called CTD, and I can take this and whoops, and I can go to Slack. I won't put it in just the main chat because that's maybe a little conceited. But I will DM it to you.
Thank you.
So,
And is all videos uploaded there or not?
no, I definitely forgot. As you can see, I forgot some of them.
Yeah.
I'll go back after this call, after this recording, and I'll upload all the ones that I was missing.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
no
really
problem.
appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing. And I can even when I'll tell you what, when as a bonus, I'll once I find what the issue was here, I'll just record myself and upload that to YouTube as well as a little bit of a
Okay.
showing you what went wrong. Because I also definitely messed up something with error handling and logging because I think that empty error is supposed to tell me something more useful. Um, so I think that's probably what I need to identify how to fix what I'm missing there, and from there I can probably figure out the error a little bit better. Um, but I'm already like way over time. Gosh, is it something just really simple? Oh man, it's gonna bother me. I'm sure it's something really straightforward here in the error handling that I didn't do properly. Um, oh man. Well, did he like make a new error thing that I didn't make? It doesn't look like it. What did he do that I didn't? All this looks totally the same. Um, yeah, all this looks totally the same. I don't know. I'll have to look. I'll have to look. But yeah, I will finish call the recording here, upload it to YouTube, and then upload one right after. I'll like put in the comments of that YouTube video or something. But it'll be in the playlist. So you'll be able to review that. I'm sure it's something really simple. I'm gonna feel silly as soon as I finish and find out what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions or anything? No problem. Thank you. And yeah, like I said, once you're getting close to thinking about your project, definitely feel free to reach out because we can do some setting you up for success. That'll make it really easy that once you actually start coding, you'll know exactly what to do. Yep. Have a good night, everybody. Ah, this bothers me so much. Okay, I'm gonna figure it out right now. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.